Welcome back to Dong City, April 12th, episode number 55, aka the Oral Hershiser edition. Do not fix your monitors, TV sets, or phones, whatever you're watching on. Vince Mercandetti is on vacation. No, we did not turn him into a Puerto Rican. Instead, we have Melvin joining us covering for Vince. Melvin, how you doing today, baby?
What's going on, brother? I got the Eric Bischoff thing going on
There you
right
go.
here,
I
man.
like
Look
it.
at
I like it a lot.
How y'all doing? Very nice to be here. It's always a lot of fun talking some good stuff here. Vince, wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying yourself, and I'm gonna hold you responsible for everything I say tonight. So,
Oh, Vince is watching. He may not be here, but if I know Vince, he's watching and he's critiquing. And if I know him, he got a fucking notepad and he's taking notes.
You're gonna get the grade at the end of the show.
Absolutely, I expect to go to the inbox and I got a letter grade waiting for us.
That's right.
Usually we let Vince do the heavy lifting with the talking, but today he left that to me. So here we go. So, no further ado. 55 COVID updates. We had a couple things going on. So we had MLB teams actually encouraging their teams to get vaccinated. They gave them a little caveat for teams that were vaccinated at 85% or more clip. Some of the restrictions are going to be lifted, such as no maskless gatherings. There were no longer require masks in the bullpen. They don't have to wear the contact tracers. They can do joint gatherings like pool tables, ping pong, video games, other clubhouse activities like that. Yankees they actually had a team come over and vaccinate 100% of the team. Gio Urshela did feel some side effects the next day, so he was on the COVID IL for 1 day. The Mets had some reservations with some of their players, so they did something pretty cool. They had the hospital for special surgery on a Zoom call, and they basically let them answer any questions that they had and educate themselves further. So MLB is doing pretty good with the COVID stuff. What do you think about this, Melvin?
Well, you know what? They're doing about as well as we can all do. I mean, we're all trying to, live trying to find a new normal. I mean, things have not been normal for the past, 13 months. Could they have been better? Well, I mean, one could assume. But this is what we got, and I'm really happy that, especially I like what the Mets did. They left it up to the players. Educate yourselves. It's all about, I myself, I'm fully vaccinated, and I am all for it. So I'm really glad that MLB is pushing to try to find a new normal, try to give us a good product, but improving from last year. They could have just punted again and say, okay, well, no fans again this year, and at least they're trying. They could have punted it again, as one of the major sports to not have a full season yet. And they could have been like, okay, we're gonna shorten it. No, they went for 162. They're trying to give us a product. I mean, Lord knows we pay for it. So if we go to the park, so it's a really good. I think it's a good move. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's a positive move.
Absolutely. Make no mistake, this is driven by money, though.
Oh, of course. Yes, that definitely.
Looking at the COVID numbers as of April 10th, so that's 2 days ago, they administered almost 100,000 tests, 99,599 to be exact, with only 25 positive tests, 17 being players, 8 being staff members. That is a 0.3 positivity rate. You take that and you run with it. So that's that. Now, to more serious matters. Today, MLB has postponed the Twins and Red Sox game in Minnesota due to the killing of yet another Black man at the hands of law. Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. I want to say his name, actually. His name is Dante Wright. He was killed at the hands of the Minnesota Police Department. And so, MLB thought it best that since it was in such close proximity, they delayed the game. I like that. I like what they did. They're taking a good stance here. What do you think, Mel?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I think it's what's best. I mean, and not only does it show solidarity, but it also shows that, we're concerned because, some protests, can get out of hand, and we just want to clear the area if that's the case, if that way if people choose to not be involved and wanted to go to the baseball game, then they can't say, oh, I wasn't there. Then now, if you choose to be in that area, that means you are choosing to be involved in what's partaking over there, no excuses. So I think it's good. It's a good, peacekeeping measure. And absolutely, if I would say it's the right move. This and we've been here before, so absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely the right move.
yeah,
Definitely.
that's a good point. They're taking the safety of the players into consideration here and their family members. And you know what? Kudos to MLB. This is two issues in 2 weeks that they seem to get in front of. Maybe they're onto something after all, following the lead of the NBA here. So
Well, and they're trying to reach the demo. If you're trying to reach the demographic that is being affected here, well, I mean, it's no secret that MLB is trying to reach the inner cities and the African American communities.
mhm.
Well, a good way to do that is also by showing solidarity to something that's affecting them and not necessarily most of your players. So it's a great move all around.
Absolutely. And as far as I can tell, before we went on the air, only one player has sat out in protest, and that was Aaron Hicks. And I can tell you, as a Yankee fan, Aaron Hicks, take your time, baby, take your time, because you started off slow as shit. Take your time.
I think that who's hot and who's not still coming up, right?
Absolutely. Who's hot
I
and
think
who's not
we're,
further
we're
on.
gonna we're gonna think we're gonna think about Aaron Hicks here soon.
It's the only number 3 who would have hit it that doesn't swing a bat. But let's go.
Hey,
see
Moneyball, right? Moneyball.
You catch that Sunday night baseball game yesterday?
I sure did, my man. Let's talk about this.
Rob,
first.
you got that queued up, Rob?
Do we got it?
Yeah, I think Rob has it. Well, while we wait for Rob, basically Phillies and the Braves were in the ninth inning, and things were getting tight, and there was a call which, it was a ball hit. Who hit the ball? I can't recall. I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
It was Didi. Can you have to this you have to enable the screen share.
Yes, thank you very much.
Didi Gregorius.
Yes, all right. Go ahead, Rob. You good now?
All right, cool. All right. Got it right here. And coming up. There it is.
There we go. Bottom of the top of the ninth. Didi lifts it. Who's that? Acuna?
That's Acuna. Yeah.
Acuna
That's Osuna.
Oh, that's Osuna. Still a good throw. And
if that's Acuna, this is not an issue. But
you know what though? That was a good throw. That was a good one.
A little offline to me. I don't know.
Acuna, that's on the laser probably, but he missed the plate, man. He completely missed the plate.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree. With the game-winning run. They showed that replay about 10 times, and there's no way in hell that I think that they would get that wrong. And they came back and they still got it wrong.
Yeah, they still did. Yeah. And here's what I don't understand. What I don't understand is MLB went through everything to convince the purists to, yes, replay is the best thing to do, best thing ever. And they convinced all the people from my age and on that were like, no, we just like the human error. You convinced us. Okay, we embrace replay. And 10 years after Jerry Mills and 10 years after Armando Galarraga, we're still talking about this. Then what was the point of all this? Like, let's get it right. I mean, this situation, the Michael Conforto situation, I mean, come on, man. I mean, there's gotta be a floor somewhere. And I don't know the explanation. I mean, somebody made a really good point yesterday, I think, and that maybe MLB needs to mic up the umpires like they do in the NFL. And maybe the mic'd up umpire can be like, okay, this is what you think, but this is what the rule says, and this is how we're interpreting it. At least we have a floor to stand on. But
it would be interesting. The union would never go for it, but I like that idea.
I see how the union has always had the umpires' backs. So that's more accountability to umpires. I mean, that would be like, okay, you stuck us with human replay. You're talking about robot umpires. Now you're slapping us with this. I mean, come on, what's in it for us? So I can see that side as well. You're absolutely correct.
Absolutely. Look, in the day and age where they're worried about, pace of play, they're worried about getting things right. Like you said, the robo-umps and all the other measures that they're talking about taking. This system has been in place long enough to fix the flaws. We spoke about it here just last week, where you have plays that are being reviewed that were absolutely not the intention of the spirit of the rule. It's just, you can't miss every big play like this when you have all the technology at your hands. It's pretty clear what happened, and then you miss the call, and then you get something silly like someone overrunning a bag where you go to a challenge. you know, they definitely have to look at some rooms. The competition committee has to look at some things, make some necessary changes, and get this right, because this was put in play to make sure that those big plays are done right. You can't imagine if this was October and if that was, you know, game 5 or game 7,
Absolutely.
you know, all
Yeah,
hell would break loose, you know?
if this were, I would love to see if this had happened in the middle of New York or LA in the middle of October. And I mean, this would have been huge. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the silver lining. At least it happened in the second week. I mean, maybe it can start, you know, because I remember there was one year where when instant replay started in the World Series, it came about in the middle of the year because of something that had happened prior. So maybe this is something that needed to happen, because this is something that this would have been a non-issue 5-6 years ago. It was just a blown call. I guess I don't know if this is the outlier and we're just seeing it. This was just a blown call all the way, and I still have not read an explanation to where you can tell me that Bohm hit the plate before Darno tagged him. There's just no way. There's just too content that the evidence is just right there.
Yeah, Jake Hibbert coming in clutch. It was Matt Holliday, 2007, game 163, the playoff game, or
That's
the
right.
play-in game rather.
The wild card, yeah.
So it's
he never touched the plate. They're still waiting on him. Yeah.
2007, you're talking 14, 15 years ago. I mean,
yeah.
You got to get this right.
And we're still talking about it. We're still talking about it. There's just no excuse.
Absolutely.
This needs to be ironed out, and it needs to be ironed out before October.
Absolutely.
Somehow, some way.
I mentioned the idea last week of challenge flags, and the more I say it, the more I like it. More and more, man. You give them some challenge flags, and you got to give some wiggle room for these things to be.
And you know what? I took it up on myself. I volunteered for Little League and everything. So Joe Torre, give me a call. I got your back, you know, because apparently Jerry Meals and the rest of the guys are having off days on.
Maybe your presence can force Angel Hernandez to finally retire, man.
Him and Jerry West and Joe West, you know.
I think I'd rather deal with Joe West. I'd rather deal with Jerry West. How about that?
Jerry West, yeah, I'd rather deal with the logo too.
No, definitely. So yeah, that's that. We're gonna talk about something else which I find absolutely hysterical. My man Trevor Bauer. So Trevor Bauer threw so much shade at the Houston Astros. He was probably the most vocal player throughout the entire Astro scandal. He talked a hell of a lot of shit. He tweeted a lot of shit. He had a lot of subliminals back and forth with players. I think he went back and forth with Correa. He talked a lot of shit, and what happened, he got a lot of his baseball were confiscated and sent to MLB for basically analyzation for substances. If there's one player that couldn't afford this, it was Trevor Bauer.
Oh, and you know what? He's probably rethinking those 3 years now. He was like, because if all this hits the fan, and the Dodgers are out of this in 3 years. So now if he would have gone with the 7 or 8 years, then maybe a little more security, whether or not, I mean, independent of this investigation, because this can hurt him if this comes back. I mean, Lord knows we all the purists in baseball life when it comes to steroids and all that. So
yeah, we get a couple of these guys that come out. There's 2 posts that get everyone coming out. Posts about cheating and political / social justice.
Right.
You know, those 2 things will always get those guys that never participate, that never say a word, that never talk baseball. It will always, they're like flies to shit. They always come out. They always have a comment. They're wearing their Patriot hats and they're ready to storm, you know, the capital of baseball life admin team. So yeah, I can go suck a dick.
I will say this I just had a second thought on Bauer. I read about Dave Roberts, you know, suggesting about, you know, Bauer being singled out by MLB for this. And I was like, I cannot understand him having his players back, but of course he was. I mean, the evidence is there. First of all, I mean, look at the stats. First of all, I mean, and the evidence is there. The tangible evidence is there.
Forget the stats.
And then
he
didn't help himself.
Yeah.
He's talking. So, I mean, what else did you expect? I mean, you can't be mad at the dog for going after the car and chasing it if you just throw the car out there.
The man told you himself that he's been chasing spin rates since 2012. He told you himself he's been obsessed with getting more spins on the ball. how else do you do that?
So all
You
MLB is
escape the
doing is
substance.
saying, okay, how obsessed are you then? Let's
Absolutely.
see. Obsessed enough to get this big contract, maybe? I don't know.
When
Fact
you
of the
are,
matter is, I mean, that he got what was coming to him. And you know what? I think Bauer was even expecting it. I mean,
he had to,
like the
and
attention.
I guarantee you those balls are going to come back with some sort of substance on the pine tar, Vaseline, something. They're going to come back with
And
some foreign substance on them.
and could this tip the scale now to the argument about the, because remember the collective bargaining agreement is right around the corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can this tip the scale, because these owners and everybody who always takes the owner side, it's always been on the whole, oh, if the player pops hot and is caught cheating, does that give us a way out of the contract? So maybe now this whole Bauer thing is gonna start gaining some traction. That discussion is gonna start getting some traction. If the team has an out, if the player comes back as cheating or pops hot or something, maybe this can get some traction in that direction.
And I think the players would be smart to sort of seek some kind of, some sort of relief where you can use something, because even hitters will tell you they would rather play. They don't mind these guys using pine tar or something, using something to get a better grip on the ball, whether it's sandpaper, pine tar, something to get a better grip where they're locating better. So I'm sure that there's a way that MLB and the players can find.
It's
Maybe it's like football. Football, you rough up the balls, you scuff them up a little bit. Quarterbacks like to get them, scuffed up just to get a better grip.
this
Maybe
is
you
where I
let
draw
them
the
use,
line.
yeah.
Where this is where I draw the line. Is it something that the other team has equal access to? That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
I
not
agree.
my fault that I know a trick that you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you have equal access to the pine tar. You have equal access to the little sanding right here or whatever. Okay, I chose to pick the veteran's brain, and you didn't. You see, that's just like stealing signals. Okay, now that is
Absolutely.
not the same as setting up the cameras, and we're not gonna go chase that rabbit. That's not the same. But if it's something that you have equal access to, I mean, I guess you're bad for not knowing the tricks. I'm sorry, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like Austin Sparrow said in the comments, we had this with Michael Pineda, who, he was about as blatantly stupid as you can get. He had the shit on his neck glistening.
It was
And
bleeding out of like gushing out, you know.
then you had, I think, Shohei Ohtani. They showed him going to his glove earlier last week on Sunday Night Baseball, was it? I think.
Yeah.
They showed
the
him going to
national
his glove,
game.
clearly rubbing something. I'm not against this, like you said. If it's equal access, fine. Players, hitters, they won't oppose to it because pitchers are locating better. Maybe there'll be an issue with the spin rates, maybe not. But you know what? Let them go for it. Like you said, if it's out there, if it's equal access to both, I have absolutely no
If
problem.
you have equal access to than I do, then how you use it is up to you. I'm sorry. That's just how I see it. And it's kind of hard to argue with that logic, I guess. But again, this might come back on Bauer again.
But
So
to answer Dave Roberts' question, was Trevor Bauer targeted? I have zero doubt in my mind he was absolutely targeted.
yes, that was the point, and Bauer will tell you himself.
And
Pretty
when
much,
you're
yeah.
a big mouth, when you're a troll, when you are his kind of personality, this is what you're gonna get. So don't throw stones if you live in a glass house.
A lot of baseball fans, there's a lot of old dogs out there. There's a lot of people like I have embraced this new wave of baseball players being loudmouths and everything.
I love it.
But I love it too. I mean, I like it. It's evolution. It's not how I was brought up, but it's necessary. I love it. I like how it gets my kids into the field. But there's a lot of old dogs that are still holding season tickets that are gonna they're gonna dictate the wave of how you get treated. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of people out there that don't like Bauer. That's what I'm saying. And
I get
a lot of these
it.
people are, yeah.
If Trevor Bauer was black or brown, he'd have a lot more hate. Let's be real.
Oh,
I'm just gonna
absolutely.
Let's be real.
Yeah,
he'd be villain number one.
Yeah, and the spirit of it, and the spirit of the Twins canceling the game. Yes, absolutely. If Trevor Bauer.
That was one of my biggest fears with, and I know the Yankees were chasing him, and the Mets made a very, very strong offer to him. I think the offer was actually better than the Dodgers deal.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Those were my fears with him coming to a big market. Eventually, those antics catch up with you. You get a big media market like New York. That shit will swallow you, man. These fans will turn on you fast. That media will turn on you fast. Ask Randy Johnson. They eat you alive, man.
I remember the first time I saw Derek Jeter being booed was, remember in the '04 season when he started like 1 for 28 or something like that. And I was like, that's how I realized how brutal y'all were up there, you know, like
We booed Mariano Rivera.
but I mean, you got to perform, and you know this and Bauer had a target in his back,
Yeah.
and now and people are okay. We notice you. Okay, you got our attention. Oh, let's see how passionate you are about this pin rate.
No,
We're
real
about
quick,
to find out.
me and my son were at opening day at Yankee Stadium. Giancarlo Stanton got booed on opening day.
Ooh.
Opening day.
Opening day. Just a little leftover from 2019.
That's it. Opening day.
The kid
Forget about what he did in the playoffs last year. Forget about all that.
You still owed us one from 2 years ago.
Oh my God, they were on that ass. So let's go with who's hot and who's not. I want to hear you guys write something in the comment section. Let me know who you want to discuss. Let me know who you think is starting hot, who you think is not starting hot. I'm not taking no Nolan Arenado bullshit comments from Joey today. It's still early. Melvin, who do you got? Somebody who's hot.
All right. Well, I was looking at these guys that are chasing contracts this year, and some of them have started in a pretty good, have had a pretty good, decent 30 to 40 of bats. Okay. The first one, and I told on everybody this was going to happen about 4 weeks ago, Chris Bryant, OPS in 938, first few good games. Okay. Let's not extrapolate. This dude is going to put a season. He's going to get his 7 years. He's going to get his 30-35 AAV because he's got Scott Boras. And Chicago's going to find out what they lost on this dude with that BS on the service time. So that's my first one that I was, you know, that dude's chasing the contract and have started hot. Him. Also, I see Correa. Correa, he started pretty hot. He started showing. And, you know, it's not a coincidence that these two guys, now Seager started pretty hot too.
Yep.
So Javi Baez, my man, you got to catch up because these other shortstops are starting off hot and they're not slowing down. They got pedigree already. This is not a
Javi Baez is not doing himself any justice, man.
Oh, he's not. He's not. So I got Bryant, I got Correa, I got Seager, and one Seager that a lot of people are not thinking about is Big Brother
Kyle.
That's coming up this year. And if this guy puts a 860 OPS season like he's capable of, Henry, I'd give him a year or two and a good bat still, you know.
Kyle Seager has had a pretty damn good career, man.
This is a good player. I mean, he's aging a little bit.
Flowing under the radar, not a big name.
He's a good player.
And he started very productive player.
Obviously, little brother's going to get the money. And, you know, little brother's got a little more upside to him. But Kyle Seager is flying under the radar, like you said, up there in Seattle, and he's coming up on an option year, so he can opt out and go get some money somewhere. I'd sign him to a year or two and see what he can do with the bat if I need a big bat. So he started off in a good year as well.
To your point, every big free agent shortstop coming up has started hot,
except for Javi Baez. Yes.
Well, I wouldn't put Javi in that category.
I don't think he's a big free agent either. I wouldn't even give him 100, but that's just me.
You had Lindor, Story, Seager. You know, you had those guys. I think Baez was a notch below.
Yeah, and Story has also
very hot.
He started cooling off a little bit, but he started off.
So, know who's cold? The one that actually got paid.
Oh, Frankie.
Frankie is ice cold, man. I don't know what's going on with Frankie. Frankie's.
You think New York got to him, or I mean,
he's still getting that base at. He's getting that base at a 348 clip. That's not horrible. His slugging is 176. That is not a misprint.
I mean,
76 slugging.
Didn't they do something with the fences up there? Like after Jason Bay,
they brought the fences in a couple years ago, but
that was I mean,
Javi.
That's probably an outlier, but I mean, it's just speechless. I mean, he's still getting on base, like you said, but he's just not hitting the ball.
Yeah.
He's just not hitting with any kind of power. And I mean, you can attribute that to the different dimensions here. Maybe the contract, maybe New York's getting to him. I don't know. Maybe
I still think it's early.
I think it's a little too early, I would say. Yeah.
I think it's still too early. There are guys that are it, and Frankie is it. But you do raise an eyebrow a little bit. You started a quote. If you're gonna give guys like Arenado credit and said they're starting hot, you got to put some equity into the guys that are starting cold too.
Oh, there's some guys that
So,
they really need to start, and these are guys that are they either just got paid or they're about to start coming up to get paid, and some of these guys are not. Like, and Lindor is one that he's not starting off real well. So
here's the thing. I'm looking at OPS leaders. Top 10 OPS leaders. Number 1, Byron Buxton. Who had that?
On the over under on that one, nobody.
Number 3, Yermin Mercedes.
The Yerminator.
The Yerminator. Number 7, my man Jarrett Walsh, who is still flying under the radar.
And he's the American Otani, I guess.
He's crushing every fucking thing he sees, man.
You know what? There's a lot of upside to this dude, but then again, is that sustainable? That's a great point. Like,
it's
I always
probably
think about
not sustainable, not at the clip he's doing it, but he is getting it done. You know, he's got some big names in the lineup. Rendon just hit the IL, so they're gonna lean on him a little more. You're providing power like that, they're gonna lean on you.
Oh, definitely.
And your man,
definitely.
Philip Evans from Pittsburgh. Who had him anywhere?
Philip Evans.
I actually picked him up in fantasy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 9, Tyler Naquin. Number 10, Cedric Mullins.
My goodness, great. Cedric Mullins from Baltimore?
From Cedric Mullins, another pickup I had on fantasy. I needed a center fielder.
About to drop
I dropped Locaine for him.
You dropped Locaine for him. I'm about to drop. He's available in my league. About to drop Santander. I don't know what he's doing.
I dropped Locaine and I picked up Cedric Mullins.
Wow. Cedric Mullins. Okay, so there's a little bit of light over there with the Orioles, I would say.
Look, if you listen to Dong City, we told you how many youngsters they got coming up. So
they got Mountcastle and the catcher, Atley.
A couple more names on who's hot. Akil Badu, my man, is taking the league by storm.
Definitely early pick here.
JD Martinez is doing. We know what JD Martinez is capable of. Gavin Lux.
I saw that 4-for-6 the other day, and I was like, my man's back.
Yo, Gavin Lux.
Gavin Lux.
He's living up to all the hype. Probably the best name in baseball. Jazz Chisholm is absolutely killing it in Miami.
Yeah.
Michael Taylor, welcome back to baseball.
Michael A. Taylor from
Shohei Ohtani is putting on the whole fucking show. Both sides of the plate. It's giving you power. It's giving you numbers. I mentioned Jared Walsh. You know who else is hot?
Who's hot?
The Red Sox, the Angels, the Reds, and the Phillies.
Hey, you know what? Them Phillies are starting to get a little traction in the group. I've seen a lot of people that were once, and I'm still gonna sleep on the Phillies. I mean, I'm a little too stubborn for that, but I will give them credit.
You give them credit where credit is due. They're 6-3.
You gotta give them credit. 6-3, and they play some legit teams. It's not like they play the Pirates.
They're stealing wins on national TV. They're stealing wins. You know?
They're getting all the calls already. That's how well they're doing.
But you know, there's some. This is the fun part about early in the season. You know, there's shit that happens that you're like, there's no way that's sustainable. But while it's happening, you enjoy it.
You enjoy it while it's happening. You know.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about, you know, hey, who's hot? Joe Musgrove.
Joe Musgrove is absolutely hot.
And you know what? This was not only the no-hitter. He had 6 innings. He's got 15 shutout innings. He's not, I mean, it wasn't just and this dude, and you know, how would you like to be the Pirates these days right now? Like, obviously, if you play the Cubs every day, you would love to be the Pirates.
Oh my God.
But if you see Jameson Taillon and Musgrove and Glass now, I mean, Garrett Cole. I mean, goodness gracious. So, Joe Musgrove.
I'm going. Leon said Harper's heating up. Harper is heating up, but he's not quite hot. He's lukewarm right now. He's got to worry about fans heckling him and him not being able to handle that.
Acuna.
I was gonna say for the highlights, but my man is an absolute stud.
Bro,
we always hear which player is going to surpass Mike Trout as being the best player. You always hear Mookie Betts. You heard Aaron Judge for a little while. You know, you hear Juan Soto with the bat. Ronald Acuna Jr., man, this kid does every fucking thing, and he does it well. He does it with flair. every tool is a plus tool. This kid is just unstoppable.
My man, if look, Atlanta locked him up to 8 and 100, something like that. Okay. If Atlanta does not win when this kid is in its prime, I really don't know what else you want.
Are you trying to get Vince to pop on the show when you?
I mean, I know they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna go after. Why would they go after Jose Ramirez? You know, I mean, or or you know, when once Bryant starts putting the kind of numbers that he gets, that they start looking his way, and you know, to go get him. Just imagine if the Braves really wanted to, they have the financial flexibility to do these things. It's not like I'm making them up.
Imagine if you added Ozzy Albies and he got his shit together and he was in that lineup too, because Ozzy Albies, he's not playing to his capabilities right now.
He sure is not. I mean, this guy is an all-star. Like, you could pencil him in to have an all-star 780 to 820 OPS season every year.
Yep.
And he's just not performing.
Another Brave that's cold, Christian Pache.
My man, they gave him center field.
Not doing it. They gave him the job, like you said. They gave him the job is yours.
Here you go.
You played your ass off in the postseason. My man come out, fall on his face.
And they moved Acuna. They Acuna, hey, you know, get over here.
Well, Pache
right
is pretty damn good.
Hey, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, there's it's not like they gave it to Almora. I mean, this guy has an upside, but
I'm gonna,
you know,
go.
He's not just getting it done at this time. So who you gonna throw? I got one more for you.
Go ahead.
Have we talked about Gavin Lux yet? Or
I mentioned them. Yep.
You mentioned them. Hey, this man was given second base.
Yes,
and they let go of our boy Kike.
So I don't think he was given second base. I think he took it.
He took it. Yes, he took it. He was given the opportunity. He was given the opportunity. They let go of Kike Hernandez. This was a process in the making, because we've been hearing about this kid for a couple of years. And Dave Roberts said, go get it. And he went and got it.
He went and got it. They were able to move Chris Taylor around the diamond a little more because Gavin Lux has supplanted him at second base, and they don't have to, use Chris Taylor at second base anymore.
They can give a couple of days off to all these outfielders.
This is what the Dodgers do, man. They create an abundance of depth and guys that can play several positions, and this is what you get. This is why they'll be a powerhouse for years to come.
And they've always, this is not something new. A lot of people are like, oh my goodness, look at the Dodgers, how they develop players. The mid-90s, they have 4 straight Rookie of the Years, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they've done this for a minute.
Yeah,
so
I'm looking at Leon and my son, who's in the comments, talking about Freddie Freeman, and Freddie Freeman's contract is coming up soon, man. You get a left-handed power-hitting first baseman that does everything. You got to sign him. You'd assume they save money on Albies and Acuna, and they got to give Freddie Freeman that money. I can't imagine they let him go.
Well, I don't think they will. I mean, he's their franchise. He's been their franchise ever since Chipper Jones left. He's been the guy. So
if there's a team I can see botching that, it's them.
I mean, and I think I would have thought they would have worked something out already, especially with the MVP last year.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's Atlanta, and you know how they like to. I'm not gonna call them cheap, obviously, because
they did pay him. They did pay him. He's on an 8-year, $135 million contract. They did pay him. This is the final year of that.
That you can't call them cheap on that account.
Right.
I'm not gonna call them cheap, but the fact of the matter is, are they gonna take care of this opportunity that they've been given on a platter that they have? I would say Acuna, 4th best player in baseball, at an AAV of barely over 10 million. And you got him for 4 more years. He's more controllable. I mean, who else are you going to give the money to? There's nobody out there better than Freddie Freeman at that position. Try to talk to him. You're a business person. Try to see if he can give you a little, I mean, Luke Voigt's pretty good. Yeah, I get that. But, I mean, this guy's the reigning MVP.
Look, I always say, I think, and you know what? I think Joey nailed it on the head. I think Freddie Freeman gets 5 years. I don't think he gets 8, like Jake is saying. I think he gets 5 years. I think he gets more than 150 though.
Oh yeah.
I think you got to pay
five and $1.70, I would say.
32
of 36,
32, 35 a year.
Yeah.
Look, if the Yankees don't get the shortstop they're looking for, I could see them throwing their money at Freddie Freeman. Defensive first baseman, that'll help Glaber's defensive woes. Power hitter, average hitter, leader. You know,
It's
he's
one of the two.
predicated.
You either go after the superstar shortstop or go after the superstar first baseman.
Absolutely. So
But you need one of them.
yeah,
One of them to either catch it, throw it well enough to the other one can catch it, or pick it up when the other one butches it. One of the two.
I'm gonna throw out a bunch of cold names for you. Ready?
All right.
Miguel Sano, ice cold. Kyle Tucker, ice cold. Marcel Osuna, ice cold. Joey Votto, Elvis Andrus, my man Matt Chapman, Mike Yastrzemski, and the entire Washington Nationals are all ice cold. Sorry, Leon, I had to do it, brother.
I got a couple of guys that are super ice cold as well. Starting with my boys in blue, Anthony Rizzo, flat on a walk year. Also Javi Baez, we talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
I got my guy Tommy Pham. They're depending a lot on him over there in San Diego. I mean, he's not the guy, obviously, but they needed to set up the table over there in San Diego, and right now he's struggling a little bit. And my guy, Mike Yastrzemski, like you just mentioned him. I got him written down. I mean, I know he's a little older. He wasn't a true rookie when he came up. He was like 24, 25 when he came out. He won like 21.
Yeah.
But what's going on there? Like disappeared completely. I was listening to the Giants broadcast the other day, and you know they don't see anything mechanically. I don't know if it's inside his head or something, or he has completely just disappeared. Or maybe he's just not there just yet, and he's gonna,
maybe
try
he was
to
a
work
product
through
of the 2020 year.
Maybe. And we're seeing
game of streaks, man. You get hot, you keep going. And maybe he caught a 60-game wave,
And I understand this has been an unusual couple of years for these guys. These guys have been doing this all their lives, like clockwork. And then you throw this wrench last year, and then you throw this, not totally different, but then again, you didn't pitch as much. So did you really needed that much rest? Yeah. So it's especially for pitchers like Scherzer and Flaherty got rocked in the beginning, and now they're starting to come back a little bit. So and we just might need to be a little more patient with these guys, and hopefully, they start producing like they're capable.
Yeah, and Jake said, like my man Juan Soto's definitely heating up. He's getting hot now. He hit, I think, 2 home runs. So
these guys will hang you 3 good games like that. Like everybody was talking about Acuna the first few days, and what did he do? Clunk, 6 straight games with
the
something.
Superstar guys, I'm not worried about. What Acuna is. You know what Soto is. Hot or cold, you know what those guys are capable of doing.
What happened to my man Miguel Sano? I have talk about a fall from grace.
Let's just nickname him Chris Davis, because he's just disappeared.
Like, and again, it's like you could, at least with Chris Davis, somebody could say, oh, well, he wasn't juicing no more. There's an explanation there, somewhat of an explanation that's semi-rational. But we're talking about a guy that 2 years ago put up a 923 OPS in 105 games, 439 plate appearances. We're not talking about, we're talking about a guy that's had an 859 OPS season and a 900 OPS season, and now he's OPS in 432.
Yeah.
Age 28. What happened?
And he was giving you the kind of production that you could live with him at first base. They moved him from third to first because he was a hack at third. You're not getting anything out of this guy right now.
Yeah, and first base, obviously, I got this little OPSs in my mind. And when I look at first base, I got to have 800 there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to have at least 800 there. Middle infield, I can live with 780. But in the corners, I got to have 800, maybe 820 something.
You would also think on a team with some sluggers that he would be able to pick it up, pick somebody's brain. You got Nelson Cruz there. Come on.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much you want to pick his brain, because then, you're going to end up with an investigation like he did. But maybe when it comes to mechanics, when you're in public, yeah, you can pick his brain, I would say.
It's working for Nelson.
But hey, my man, I'm a believer in, yes, steroid guys are this, that, and the other. But without doing something right, I can't just start juicing and start hitting. And you know what? Nelson Cruz is doing something right. You gotta give it to him where he's got. And if all the credit he's getting is from me because he's helped my fantasy against my brothers, then gracias, Nelson, papa.
We got a question from Leon. Leon's asking if we're fans of the runner on second base. He knows where I stand on this.
the runner on second base.
The extra
I'm
inning
okay.
rule.
I'm okay with it. I learned to love it. I'm okay with it for the sake of, I mean, it's equal to both teams. So I don't see, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with that logic. I'm okay with it in the regular season for the sake of, okay, let's declare a winner, because I mean, that is a good way to declare who the better team is. I haven't bought it completely in the postseason. I don't know why. Maybe it's my stubbornness.
So
Maybe that's, I mean, I haven't bought it completely in the postseason.
here's my thing.
But I do like it.
I don't like the idea of playing the regular season one way and then the postseason another way. I've never liked that, which is why I hate September call-ups for that very reason, that you play all these months one way, September comes, and then you add 40 men to the roster. The shit is a mess. Games are 4 hours long because, you know, mixing and matching. I don't like the rule, but if you're going to stay with the rule, I would say change it to the 12th inning. Give the teams a chance to win 1 or 2 innings on their own. I actually hate it, but if we're going to keep it, I'd say tweak it, bring the extra run part in the 12th inning.
I can add that. I would live with that just fine. I would live with that just fine. I just don't want anything to keep the game, I would say, under 14. I would say, I mean, that's two 7-inning double hitters. I mean, that's a lot for one game. I would say magic number being 14. If you're going to fall in love with the 7-inning double hitter, I would say magic number 14. Keep it under 14, I would say. So I would say 12 would be great. I would totally be okay with that. I just don't know. I mean, somebody can because the people started asking last year. I was like, oh, our team's going to start bunting, and the answer is no, they're not bunting. They're playing it straight up.
Well, you know what's funny?
It's
the opposite, though. I think teams are bunting a lot more because of that rule. It's an unintended consequence. I think if you look it up, we've had more bunts in the first 2 weeks than we have in a long time.
Yeah, in the first 2 weeks, yeah, I would say so.
The Yankees have bunted, and I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? They don't bunt, but now they bunt. They're bunting for hits. They're stealing bases.
Hey, you're always asking to see who's going to replace Aaron Boone. Maybe Whitey Herzog with all these bunts.
Look, I'll take anybody to replace Aaron Boone at this point, man. I'll fucking.
Hey, Whitey Herzog's got a ring and 3 pennants, so
I'll take any. I'm laughing because I just saw Carlos's comment, fellow Boricua Carlos Borges. He said you sound like his dad, so I'm sure you're giving him nightmares. You're giving him nightmares.
I do tend to remind people. People are like, are you arguing? No, I'm actually
being Puerto Rican.
That I love them. You know,
you're being Puerto Rican. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Rob, you got them highlights ready?
Yes, I do.
All right, let's go with the first one. You want to take this one, Mel?
All right, let's take a look. See what we got.
Well, first I had, I guess we forgot about the ring ceremony, so I had that ready.
Oh,
yeah,
well, let's go for that then.
That's why you're the producer, baby.
You see that the ring ceremony, as I understand it, the Dodgers got to tell like the higher ups who their favorite player was, and then that favorite player would present the ring.
I did not know that.
That was actually pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Like, was it Edwin Rios? He got Ken Griffey Jr. to talk, or no, he got Ichiro to talk and say, "Hey, here's your World Series ring." And there was another one. I think Joe Kelly got Ken Griffey Jr. to talk and say, "But hey, you know what? Congratulations to these guys. They deserve it. You know, they were the last team standing. I don't care about the short season. You know, hey, look, they deserve it. They did. They were the best team in baseball, and I don't care about the short season. Had we played 162, I have no quips that the Dodgers probably could have won."
I agree. I think everyone knows one of my favorite players in a very, very long time is Kershaw. Watching that man have that ring and you just watching that excitement and watching that big smile, man, I felt so happy watching that man get his ring. Yeah. I loved every minute of watching him get a ring. Then I saw David Price get a ring. And I'm like, come on, you got to be kidding. And I get it. Everyone gets a ring on the team. David Price got to hide his head in the sand and don't even come out the fucking dugout for the ring ceremony.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't. And you know what? I guess he did. He is auctioning it, I think. He's doing something good with it, I think. But I don't know if I would have necessarily let it get to that. You know, I was like, come on, these guys, I mean, and he ought to know because he's won a World Series ring in Boston. So he ought to know what that means to somebody. So I don't know what the angle was here, But congratulations to the Dodgers. And Henry, if that would have been you, who would have come out and given you a ring? My guy, when I was a kid, would have been Ryan Sandberg. That would have been one that was my favorite player when I was a kid.
Right now, I probably would have asked Derek Jeter or Albert Pujols.
Yeah, that can't argue with those guys. Yeah,
and, the Albert Pujols thing. If I'm a Dodger player, I'm asking Albert Pujols for two reasons. One, because he's the other LA team, and two, because he's Albert Pujols. So I'm being like, I'm honoring the guy I love, and I'm being petty at the same time.
Oh, love it.
For me, I would have chosen my fellow countryman Mariano Rivera.
Mariano Rivera, the Sandman.
Yeah, man.
He was something serious. Yeah.
Mariano would grab his Bible and tell me he's heard some of the shit I'd say, and he'd try to pray over me, and I'd be like,
hey, I share a birthday with him, so at least that's something we can talk about. Mariano, November 29th. Woo!
Yep.
He used to have a restaurant here in New Rochelle, and
really,
you would go there. It was a really good steakhouse, and he would be there a couple of nights a week, man, just walking around, talking to fans, taking pictures, no charge, just like a regular restaurant owner, just walking around the spot, saying hi, signing autographs. Coolest shit ever, man.
That's awesome. That's really good. He's a good. He's been really instrumental with because after some stuff that's going on in Panama, he's been really instrumental getting the winter ball going there.
So right here you have my man Jeff McNeil, bottom of the ninth. I think was this the home opener for the Mets? I believe so.
On his birthday, right?
On his birthday.
Have a birthday, Jeff McNeil.
Fucking rocket to tie the game in the bottom of the ninth.
Jeff McNeil.
Yo, I like McNeil. I've always liked McNeil. Met fans know that I say that dude is it for me. I like him on that team. But man, he hit a shot, very, very emotional shot on his birthday. I think it was the first home run of the season. And it set up the very next thing, which people were talking about for days to come.
Oh, the Happy Gilmore when he stood up in front of the ball and boom, let it pluck him. What's that? I mean, honestly, what's the angle there? Honestly, because I was taught. Here's how I was taught. Honestly, here's how I was taught when I was a kid, and that happened. That's not okay. My coach would have come out and say, no, that's an out. Let's go. Because that's not okay. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know what the angle is these days with doing that. I understand Conforto's going to walk here and he is not hot. He could have been on that list and he wants to improve the OBP. But I mean, come on. I don't know what the angle is. Maybe you can explain to me.
I don't get it. Yeah, Rob.
Look, it clearly shows that even SNY, that's the channel, that's the Mets channel. Even the commentators was like, he got away with that one.
That is a strike.
That's just it, Melvin. Not only did he throw his elbow out, it was a strike.
It was a strike. Like that's what I tell people. Here's the problem. A lot of people tell me, look, he even puts it out. Like a lot of people tell me, oh, LeBron flops. Well, and a lot of people tell me, oh, Jordan flopped too. And I was like, yeah, but there's a difference between flopping and selling a legitimate hit. Okay. If the ball is going to be, the ball is going to be off the plate and, do you do Craig Biggio and stick it out there a little bit? That's different than sticking your head out for a strike. Again, situational. That is totally different. That is not the Jason Kendall stick it out there to see if I can get a cheap
I used to watch Johnny Damon get hit and what's my man, the worst contract ever, Jacoby Ellsbury. His batting stance, he would get hit on the elbow all the time and he'd take his base. Conforto popped it out. I was a little disappointed because you know what, that was actually a spot. Conforto's a hell of a hitter. That was a good spot for Michael Conforto to absolutely tear that house down with a fucking hit, and instead I think he took the cheap way out. Look, a win is a win. As a fan, you're gonna say what you want, you take the win, I get it. At the end of the day, you know that you really wanted that guy to drive that in, and that is one of those guys that is absolutely capable of driving that ball.
And you know what? Mets fans are really adamant. They want this guy extended. And you know what? I don't know if Joey is in, or I don't know if Jacob is in, but I don't know if Mets fans are completely okay with what this dude did. But the Mets fans I know, they'd be pretty, that's not okay. Come on.
Well, they kind of got the whatever shit happens.
Yeah, wins a win.
If you're a fan, you rock with it, and you're like, yo, let it. A win is a win. I'll take the win, however I can get it. I really would have liked for Conforto to swing
If
that bat because
if I extend the guy, is so he can drive those runs in, not stick his elbow into a strike to get a free base. Come on.
after McNeil fucking brought that house down to tie that game up, it was Conforto's spot to drive that run in legitimately.
And he did drive it, but I mean, does the end really justify the mean? Honestly,
Absolutely.
I don't think in this case. In some cases, I do. In this case, I definitely don't. To be quite honest,
I don't. I definitely don't disagree with you. Over here, you see my man Colton Wong.
Colton Wong.
After spending what 7, 8 years,
This guy was there. Yeah, 2013.
Yeah, he got there. He got 10,000 fans. He got a standing ovation. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, man. My man wept the entire at bat. He sat there and he cried the entire fucking at bat. That was pretty emotional to see. That was, I love them showing that love to that dude because he's one of those underrated players that you love and you root for. That was absolutely a cool moment, man. And yeah, I loved, I always shit on St. Louis, but they do like that. They do love their players. They treated him well, and watching him just absolutely weep throughout that entire at bat was just crazy to see. The only time I remember something like that is when D Ford hit the home run after Fernandez was, the game after Jose Fernandez was killed.
Yeah. And I say this. I mean, as a Cubs fan, I'm very familiar with St. Louis myself, and I used to live close to St. Louis. St. Louis may be a lot of things, but St. Louis is not a town that hates its baseball team.
Yeah.
They love their Cardinals.
They hate a lot of things, but baseball is.
they hate a lot of things, and they hate a lot of certain people, but they do not hate their baseball team. Absolutely. That is for sure. They support their team. They if you are a Cardinals Hall of Famer, you do not buy a drink in St. Louis. Somebody's got it for you. All these guys, Jim Edmonds, Scott Rowland, these guys can go to St. Louis, and they are royalty. And Colton Wong is now one of these guys because
what's funny?
They really appreciate everything. Like they like defensive midfielders over there in St. Louis because they remind him of somebody. And this guy, I'm not comparing him by all means, but he is a heck of a fielder.
Yeah.
So, the comparisons are there. So,
Colton Wong is the total package. I'm surprised they let him walk, honestly. And I thought Milwaukee getting him was great for what they're trying to do with defense.
And you know what? Yeah, Milwaukee has solidified their middle defense I think the most underrated midfield in baseball was him and De Jong.
Yeah, De Jong.
Wong and De Jong. These guys, you never heard of them, but they got the job done.
Absolutely.
And Colton Wong, definitely. And he's a good guy that this happens to.
Here's that guy who's absolutely coming for Mike Trout's crown as the best player in baseball. My man Acuna with this fucking moonshot. I don't remember the stats. I had him somewhere. I think it was 456 feet.
450 something. I remember that.
Absolute bomb, bro. This kid is just everything. I love this camera view right here. You see this camera view? This camera view needs to be used more often. That camera view is the absolute shit. I love that view. And here's the best part. Not only did he do it with the bat, in the same game, I think it's coming up after this, he makes a hell of a catch. You got it, Rob?
Yeah, it's coming up. Hold on 1 second. Got it right here.
Yeah, but that camera view I love, man.
Yeah, and you know what? You can see everything on that.
Yeah,
that's the catch. Alec Bohm, yeah.
Run on first and third, and here's the catch coming up here. This kid gets it done on both sides of the ball.
Boom!
Everything. It is. Every single inch just coming out there. Alec Bohm sitting there like, yo, what the hell happened?
No, I don't see anything that this dude can do, that Mookie Betts can do that Acuna can't, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I think if we're gonna see if Mike Trout's still holding the belt in my mind, Mike Trout's still holding the belt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's held it for the past 8-9 years in my mind, but I think Mike Trout's gonna lose that belt to either Betts, Acuna, or Soto. He's gonna be one of those guys.
I don't think Mookie. Mookie's too
gonna be one of those guys
for me, but I think Soto, hitting wise, I think if you go all around player, I think the closest thing to it is Acuna or Tatis.
Yeah. I don't know, man. These dudes.
What do we got here, Melvin? What's next?
We got Joe Musgrove with the no-hitter, first ever in Padres history.
Yeah.
By a hometown dude. That is the best part. That'll be like me pitching a home no-hitter for the Cubs. That'll be that. Congratulations, guys. Started 15 innings and 0 runs. And don't forget our man, who's catching that game?
The Caratini.
Victor Caratini, my guy, man.
Second one he's caught.
His
Second consecutive.
Second consecutive one. Yeah, he caught the last one with the Cubs.
Was it the second consecutive?
Yeah. Second, the last two in MLB he's caught.
Oh wow! I didn't realize it.
Last two in MLB he's caught him.
You know what we didn't add? Damn it! And I think about it now. I saw that there was a fan. It was the Braves game. Did you see that?
Yeah, that he gave the ball to the.
Yeah, so they're going. I think it was Freddie Freeman threw the ball to a fan.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fan of the opposing team.
Oh, the Phillies, father and son.
Yeah. The kid was loving it. The father was playfully covering his Philly shirt, and the little boy turns around and he gave it to another young kid who was wearing a Freddie Freeman jersey.
Yep.
And I absolutely loved that interaction so much. I don't know if you saw what the Braves did. The Braves ended up giving the kid today a Freddie Freeman ball signed by Freddie Freeman and someone else, and I'm trying to
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
It worked out, bro. That was great parenting.
It worked out for everybody. Beautiful story. I love those positive stories.
Look, that kid gave that ball up to another kid without hesitation. He knew that he was a fan. He gave that kid a ball, and that's what sports and baseball does, man. One kid was black, one kid was white. You didn't see any of that. You just saw two kids being innocent. One kid saying, yo, this kid is a fan of this player that gave it to me. Not a lot of kids would give that ball up. Like a Major League Baseball player just gave you a ball. You're not giving that ball up. Yeah. That's good parenting. That's good, that's not even manners. That's just good morals. And he was rewarded for it. So that was great to see.
That's awesome. When good things happen to people. And I'm pretty sure the last thing on their mind was, hey, I'm going to give this ball up to see if something good happens to us. I'm pretty sure that was far off from what they were thinking. But you know what? Maybe somebody needed that encouraging that good things happen to good people still,
Yeah.
So that's if anybody's having a rough time, look at that story,
The camera angle caught, there was a shot, I'm a sucker, man. My son and I go to games all the time. He's texting me every time during Yankee game right now, the scores and stuff, because he's watching the games by himself. There was a moment where they had the kid leaning on his dad, and his dad had his foot up, and he's just chilling. He's got his son leaning on him, and he's watching the game. And that simple moment was so freaking beautiful, and we need more of that right now.
Excellent. That is pretty much what we need more of. Not forgetting the other stuff that gets us a little rowdy, but this stuff right here is what we all want. We all want this to be the leading news and not the canceled games to be the leading news. We want these stories to be more the majority of what we talked about when we talk about something outside the baseball field.
So real quick, let me give you guys a scoreboard update.
All right.
Yankees, Blue Jays, top of the third. Blue Jays leading 1-0. Middle of the second inning, Padres, Pirates tied at 1. Mariners, O's are delayed. Rain delay. It's been raining like crazy on the East Coast. Texas, Tampa Bay 0-0, bottom of the second. Marlins, Braves 1-1, bottom of the second. Your Cubs and the Brewers 0-0, top of the second. And we have action later on tonight. The Nationals and the Cardinals at 7:45. Angels and the Royals at 8:10. 8:10 also the start time for Cleveland, White Sox, Detroit, Houston, and that's going to be a horrible game. The A's and the Diamondbacks. Reds, Giants at 9:45, and as we told you earlier, the Red Sox and the Twins were postponed.
All right, most of the action under the lights tonight.
Yeah. So let's take a quick look at the standings.
All right. It's still early, but
that's early. Look, this
is for fun. Let's go have some fun and see if we can find some of these dynasties.
You know how it's fun. The Red Sox are in first place. The Yankees are in last place.
That's how you know it's.
Yeah. Let me see. Cleveland in first place. Royals in second place at 4-3. I'm looking at run differential here. Houston's still killing it, man. They killed it last week. They're 6-3. They still have a +23 run differential.
I think that's real though. That those stats aren't going anywhere. That team's that good, honestly.
I'll give you something that I don't think is real. The Angels are 6-3.
That is not real at all. And it already started.
They have a -5 run differential. I don't see that sustainable.
Yeah, that's not sustainable at all. Not even for a wild card spot.
Seattle is.
Yeah.
Seattle's 5-4, -11 run. Jesus Christ, the West Everyone is a negative run differential except the Houston Astros.
except for Houston. So that's why I mean that's why Houston. I mean, honestly, those standings probably Oakland would climb up a little bit. Those standings probably stay how they are. You swip Oakland with Seattle, and that's
Oakland's
probably it.
making me look bad, man.
And Chapman needs to wake up, man. Like
Dude,
that offense, they lost Marcus Simeon. I don't know why, but
negative 32 run differential.
negative 32. They're not hitting, my man. I mean, they've had a couple of good starts here and there, but they are just not hitting. They're not hitting the baseball. And this game is a lot of things, but more than likely, if you're hitting the baseball, you're gonna win. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah, you got the Phillies are in first place in the NL East. Didn't have that.
I mean, that you got to give credit to. You got to give credit to, honestly, because they've played some really good teams. It's not like they've been stuck playing bad teams, like we said earlier. But I mean, they got a positive run differential.
The one things the Philly has, they have the best manager in the division.
They sure do.
And I think
the most experience,
making a difference early. I don't think it's sustainable. I still think it's between the Braves and the Mets in that
Braves
division.
and Mets still. And the Mets are just, I mean, the Braves are, kind of head above water on the run differential, but the Mets are not hitting, and they're just.
I give the Mets a break because the Mets, they started late with the COVID issue.
True.
And they got rained out yesterday. They got rained out today. It's hard to get a groove when you just don't play consistently.
That's a great point.
Yeah, the Nationals are 1-5. I think they are who we think they are.
That division, except for the Marlins, I mean, it's probably kind of as is if you move the Washington Nationals and swap them with the Phillies, I would say.
Yeah,
it's probably as is. I mean,
I'm looking at the NL Central now. Dude, the Reds lost pieces. And they're still hitting and they're still scoring. They're sitting on top, first place, 6-3 with a +20 run differential. That's not sustainable, in my opinion.
No, not with that lack. I mean,
I don't believe in them. I know. Larry does, but
yeah, Larry does. But honestly, I mean, other than Castillo, I mean, Sonny Gray is not gonna pick you up if Castillo falls.
I like Sonny Gray. I still like Sonny Gray. I
think he's a likable pitcher. I'm not saying
that's a formidable 1-2 punch.
It's. But you know what? If Castillo gives up 2 runs, gives up 6 runs in an inning and a third, and he has to leave, I don't know if I feel good about that series knowing Sonny Gray is behind him, because it's like, oof, that's not a for sure pickup. You know what I'm saying?
I think I'm higher on Sonny Gray than you are in this one.
Yeah, I don't know. Sonny Gray has never convinced me of being that. Okay, I'll pick up the ace if the ace falters. You know what I'm saying? I see Sonny Gray as being a good, sustainable pitcher, but I don't consider him a lockdown solid 2. I got your back because you fell, kind of thing. I don't see it just yet. Prove me wrong. Hey, I love being proven wrong. That's okay.
Going back to the East, Leon's giving us the excuses. No Josh Bell, no Kyle Schwarber.
I mean, okay. Do you really think honest? They're 0-3 against teams that are above 500. They've lost every game from teams that are above 500. Honestly, I've seen Kyle Schwarber for 6 years. Don't know if he would have tipped the scale on that one. I can see Josh Bell being more of a factor, but I mean,
I like Josh Bell a lot. Actually,
I like Josh Bell a lot. He's clearly been missed. Honestly, he's been missed, but I don't know if him and Schwarber are the issue. I think. I mean, Schwarber is Jock Peterson with a little less defensive upside. That's who he is.
But Schwarber can hit both lefties and righties.
He can hit both lefties and righties. So
Jock Peterson also starting off cold, but expect that from a platoon player.
Oh my. But yeah, I mean they're not, and then Scherzer got rocked. That first start, Patrick Corbin did not bring it. His first start, so.
So I look at this and I see the Cubs sitting at 4-5 with a negative
surprise
differential. Cubs
no surprise
this year, man.
No surprise, brother. No surprise. This has been the tale of this team ever since September of 2018, when they choked a 4.5 game lead after winning in Milwaukee that Labor Day. They just stopped hitting. They stopped hitting. Situationally, they stopped hitting.
It's almost like at that point, the Cubs hit a wall, and everything have been falling apart and all the wheels have been falling off little by little. And it's almost as if the core of this team will be completely stripped before they have to just hit that restart button. And it sucks because they had a core of really good players, and you guys should have done a lot more damage in the period that you were allotted to do so.
On that division that did not have a Mike Trout, a Mookie Betts player. I mean, we had Yelich for the last couple of years, but you know, even with Yelich, the Cubs still competed for those divisions. So, but yeah, how the Cubs handled this whole situation was not okay. They're not hitting, and that's like the window just shut completely when they choked that division lead in 18. You know, most teams' windows they close gradually, shut completely in 2018, gone. And I was like, and they lost 17-7, outscored by the Pittsburgh Pirates on games started by your two and on games that featured your 2 and 3 guys.
They're only one game up on the Pirates for last place.
I mean, at this point, I'm just hoping that Bryant holds on his value, that Rizzo finds his value again, because he's very valuable and he's still a defensive valuable player. And that that they find their value so we can trade them for useful pieces that are going to help us in the future. But take a couple of bad seasons. And we're
comfortable with that happening and getting the right value for them, considering what you gave up and got for you, Darvish?
At this point, I mean, at this point, it's got to happen, because let's just say that these guys hold their value. We're not going to get enough pitching. No. I mean, honestly, Kyle Hendricks is very good player, but Kyle Hendricks is not a number one. No. He's not a number one. He is a solid 3, probably a second tier 2.
I agree. I think he's a very, very good 3.
Solid 3. I would give Kyle Hendricks the ball on game 3 of the NLDS. No questions asked. Or the NLCS or the World Series. Is a solid number 3.
I think if he matches up against other number 3s, you're in a good position.
He'll match up.
If he starts matching up against your Jake DeGroms, your Garrett Coles of the world.
No, he will not. He can match up with a guy like Patrick Corbin.
Right.
He can match up with, with that other tier, not with the Coles, not with the DeGroms, not with the Bowers, not with the all these Darvishes. He can match up with Danielson Lamet. He can match up with Joe Musgrove. He can match up with Chris Paddock and all these guys that are really serviceable players. But that's the problem with the Cubs. I'm just hoping that these guys find their value, and that we can get something for them, because they're gonna walk. They're gone. I mean,
you gotta get something for them. You have to get something.
You gotta get something for them. I mean, Bryant's walking. He's gone. I mean, I don't blame him. This guy's gone, and he's gonna get his 30 AAV. He's gonna get his 7 or 8.
30.
He's gonna get 30 AAV. The least this dude is getting, he's gonna get 7 and 21 and 210. Watch.
I don't know that he gets 30, man.
You know what? 210 for 7, he can get it.
Maybe he gets more money for less years.
More money for less years?
No, maybe he gets
maybe at 250 for.
Yeah, maybe he gets a 5-year deal, 35 each. I could see that.
Yeah,
I
could see that.
Him 7 or more, I think that AAV comes down to 28, 30.
I mean, he's 28, and Scott Boras is his guy, man. Scott Boras likes it 7 to 10.
The problem with that is that this market is flooded with guys. Let's say a team decides they want to pay Correa and put him at third base, which he's a better third baseman than he is a shortstop.
Better third baseman, yes.
Would you rather have Carlos Correa or, your boy Chris Bryant? I'd rather have Correa playing third.
Right now, I'd probably rather have Correa, but remember, Chris Bryant can also move around. So
yeah, but not well.
He can fill the hole in the left field. I mean, he won't cost you runs. Fair enough. I mean, he won't cost you runs.
I would rather have Carlos Correa playing third than Chris Bryant. That's just me.
I'd rather have Rendon, really, but. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, they could be interchangeable. Which one's younger? I think Correa's young, a little younger, right? Yeah, Correa's a little younger.
I keep saying the perfect place for Carlos Correa is New York. You put him on the Mets, you put him at third base, you put him and Lindor together with Pete Alonso and Don Smith and Michael Conforto, and you got something really special there. I think that right there tips the scales drastically in the Mets' favor if they add a Carlos Correa to third base.
Houston has not locked them in yet, right? I
They
don't think
offered him.
Houston.
They offered him. It was an insult. It was like $120 million.
Yeah, in
Very
the right
insulting.
context, that would be an insult in the right
Yeah.
context. But I mean, I don't think Houston might hold on to them though for one last run. Maybe they want.
You think they pay Correa?
They didn't pay Springer. Why would they pay
They
Correa? I
didn't
would
pay
say.
Springer.
So I mean, they didn't pay Springer. I mean,
can
they
move
didn't pay
Bregman
Cole.
over.
They didn't pay Cole either.
You
They could
can
have
move
paid Cole.
Bregman. You can move Bregman to shortstop if you need
You
to.
can move Bregman to shortstop if you need to, but I mean, they didn't pay Cole. They didn't pay Springer. Why would they pay Correa? I mean,
They're not going to pay Verlander.
they're not going to pay. Now, will he ever pitch again? I mean, they didn't pay all these guys. I mean, you do. I mean, I don't know. They already paid Altuve. They extended him a long time ago. But
Jake Hibbert said Correa is 27, KB is 29. So you have that too.
so I
Service time
definitely.
manipulation really did Chris Bryant.
Yeah, they did him dirty. That would probably tip the scale. That probably Correa gets 8 years and Bryant gets 7.
Yeah,
that could make the difference, right there.
I don't see Bryant getting 7, bro. I can't.
I probably one team's gonna give it. You know, Scott Boras, man. I mean, you know, one team's gonna give it.
I could see 5 years with a high AAV.
5 and 180. 5 and 180.
I can't see the 7 years. The guy's been hurt too much.
I mean, but they're not major injuries. They're not it's not a shoulder. It's not an elbow. It's
those things start to add up. And you're an infielder. You're a third baseman. You start missing games here and there.
Moving to the American League, maybe. Maybe. What if it's an American League team and you got the DH is coming. That's also another thing.
Yeah,
the DH is coming, and that's all but inevitable. So when I'm doing takes about next year, I take the DH pretty much as a given in the National League. So that could tip the scale to where he gets a longer deal, knowing he can DH as well.
I think we're going to eventually see a time where DH is no longer solely used for one player.
That's also, I mean, there's only so many guys that can ride that train in one team. Also,
I
the
think
DH train. You're right.
Teams are getting smart. Like for instance, I don't know why the Yankees haven't alternated Stanton and Judge between DH and right field. People forget Giancarlo Stanton's a really good right fielder.
Yes, he is.
There's teams that could use that spot. The Mets are another team. They could use that spot for Dom Smith. They can use that spot for Pete Alonso. There's that spot can just be rotated between guys. You give guys a half a day off. I think the days of the single-use DH, that's going to fade away when Nelson Cruz retires. And the only other guy that's probably a full-time DH right now, maybe Marcell Ozuna when they adopt it.
Yeah, maybe Ozuna. Maybe, I mean, if Albert Pujols stays around, maybe. But I mean, that dude ain't staying around. I love him, but he needs to hang it up. But I mean, maybe what's this dude that
you got guys hanging around like Miggy, guys that are just
but he's still getting paid though. You got to get whatever you can out of him. Or maybe cut him a check.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude still got like 3 years left in his contract. So.
Toronto Blue Jays, you could have a guy like Vlad playing, DH, so his defensive liability isn't glaring.
I mean the importance, the necessity of the DH in the game has been clearly stated.
Imagine
it's pretty much a necessity right now.
Imagine signing a Freddie Freeman and you're able to rest him. Like he can DH half the time, he can play first base half the time. That's what you want.
That's I mean, I don't see the downside of that. You're getting more out of a player. I don't see why not. But then again, that's also going to influence how long a player gets. However way you play the DH in the play, if you're looking at getting DH at bats from a guy, you're gonna be like, okay, maybe the reason is to extend this guy a little longer. Maybe I can get an extra year out of this guy. So,
yeah, I know. See, guys like Jake Hibbert, Edwin Encarnacion, Cruz, Miggy, Pujols. The only one right now worth anything is Cruz.
Cruz is the only one. These guys, I mean,
they're not productive. They're stuck at DH because there's nowhere to put them. They got ridiculous salaries, and
they're getting paid.
They're getting
paid, and you know what? You can only have one of those guys in your team. And actually, right now they're going to start disappearing. So now it's going to become to where you can only have so many guys that are riding. I mean, okay, two at bats in left field and one in DH or two in DH, or that would be the closest baseball can get to substitutions, kind of like in other sports. To be quite honest with you,
Ryan Zimmerman's another. That's a good one, Leon. Ryan Zimmerman,
yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, I think that they signed him to that club-friendly deal too. So that,
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that Ozuna took the deal he took. If I was him, I would have went 1 year waited for them to institute the DH. That way you have 15 other teams that open up for you. But
Yeah, that's all but a certainty at this point.
yeah.
So,
So our last segment,
all right,
my favorite segment
your
of them
favorite.
all, Boone-headed, Aaron Boone-headed plays nominees this week. It is not Aaron Boone, even though it's named after him. It is Major League Baseball for the absolute debacle of the Mets and the Marlins. Now, Marcus Stroman annoys the hell out of me. For Marcus Stroman tweeting what he tweeted, he was 1,000% correct in criticizing MLB baseball. They look, if you were in the New York City area yesterday, it was gloom and doom the entire day. There was absolutely no way you could look outside and say they're going to play baseball today. There was no way. That game should not have been started. They played for 7 minutes. 7 minutes. So they need to get this shit corrected. There's no way in how you look at a weather forecast. There's no way in how you look at what's going on in front of you and you say, let's play this game. That was just absolutely foolish, boneheaded. Now, I was doing a little research for this and I found this nugget. Do you know that there's no formal limit for how long a rain delay can last?
Wow, did not know that.
There is no formal limit for that. In fact, a couple years ago, a Brooklyn councilman, Justin Brannan, wrote Major League Baseball a letter asking for them to change the rules for fans because they were sitting out there losing money, taking time off work. So he posted something like all MLB teams should start within an hour of the scheduled start time and no game should be more than 1 hour delayed. I'm with that. They need to fix this rule. There's been many times I've gone to the stadium. They haven't canceled the game. Common sense tells you there's no way they're going to play this game with the weather being what it's going to. There's times I've gotten to the stadium and they called it right there. Now I've paid parking if I pay parking. I've already wasted my time, my energy, my stress, my effort going to the stadium. There have been times that I've gone to the game, gotten soaked, and they called the game within 2 hours, 3 hours. If it's a night game, you got to work the next day. So yeah, MLB boneheaded. I'll also add the Mets organization into boneheaded because if you know that this is going to happen, I'm not burning a starter. I'm not letting one of my starters warm up. I'm not letting him go in that game for, I think he threw 7 pitches. I'm not letting my starter. I'm doing an opener. I'm going to have one of my bullpen guys come out and start that game. If they play it, then they play. We play it with the opener. I'm not burning one of my starters. Now, Marcus Stroman's sitting down for 5 days. They're playing the Phillies. You want Marcus Stroman playing the Phillies. You don't want him set up in Colorado, which is the team they're playing after that. You want him playing against your division rival. You want the better pitcher. You don't want, if you're Stroman, you don't want no part of Colorado. You want to play against the Phillies.
And you're the Mets, so you know you got some double headers coming up, so you know you're strapped already.
Yeah.
So yeah, Marcus Stroman is a lot of things, and you know with his whole stunt in the WBC, he did not earn himself any favors with me, but he was right on this one. I mean,
Yeah, he was.
Look, I got a son in Little League. Okay, in Little League, I'm talking Little League in Clarksville, Tennessee, not New York City, in the middle of MLB, and I can tell you, because of how much it rained yesterday and what it looks like today, if we're going to practice or not. And if I can do that with my little phone, I'm pretty sure MLB can figure out a way to say, hey, we're not playing this game tonight. There's just no way. Do you know why? Because you would be violating the number one rule of business, and you are being an inconvenience to your consumer. And that is not okay. You are being an inconvenience to your consumer. Let's say Joe Everybody gets out of work. I left work early so I could go catch the game, right? And then I get in the subway, I do this, I do that, and then I go through all that to get wet in the stadium for 3 hours. So now I can't go home. Now, oh, they give me a rain check. Oh, there's going to be a double header 2 months from now. Well, I mean, so it is an inconvenience to the consumer. And I think MLB really needs to address that, because that also lays on the umpires as well. And here we go again with the umpires. Here we go again. Now, if umpires are not capable of making these decisions, then we need to hire people who are weather experts, who can, if you think that the umpire's weather app is not okay to make this decision, which I don't think it will, then you need a better solution, because bottom line is your consumer's getting pissed and you don't want that. So
you're absolutely right. Look, there was a point where Marcus Stroman was I think he threw back 3 or 4 baseballs that were thrown to him that got wet from the time the catcher threw the ball to him that got wet that he had to throw back. That's no weather to play a baseball game in.
And you know what? A lot of people be like, "Oh, suck it up, this, that, and the other." No, listen.
That's how you get hurt.
Exactly, right there. It's not like this is not a spring training game. This guy has to be out there. If his manager tells him the ball is in your hand, hey, listen, the ball's in your hand. Now, somebody could have managed this a little better on the Mets pitching standpoint. You know, somebody in the Mets organization needs to be held accountable. Why was this guy out there if we knew that we were going to call the game?
That's where I blame the Mets right there.
But this is not just sprinkling. I'm okay with playing when it's sprinkling, but these guys are getting, because then when they get hurt, well, why is he not playing? We're paying him all this money. Okay, then which is it? Do we protect the player, or for the betterment of the game? Because the game is worse today because Fernando Tatis Jr. is not playing.
Absolutely,
and that is a fact. So we got to protect as much as we can. We can't control the weather, but we can control the way we can we react to it. And MLB, we need a better system because we're being an inconvenience to the consumer that's going to the field. You want the fans back? Well, they're back. Let's see if we can take care of them a little better.
And to your point about them pissing off the consumers, you know, like Corey said, yeah, they're still going to the concession stands. They're still buying beers. But you know what? It's limited capacity as it is. To get into the stadium, it's a pain in the ass. You need a negative PCR test within 72 hours or a negative rapid test within 6 hours of game day or proof of vaccination. That's a lot of hoops to jump through to get to a baseball game. So if you have a season ticket package and you're not vaccinated, you have to get tested after tested after tested. So if I'm going to go through all those hoops, the least you can do is make sure I'm seeing a game in optimal weather and not jerk the fans around.
Yeah, brother, let me tell you, what I used before I became a teacher, I did my internship with the Nashville Predators in Nashville, Tennessee, because I wanted to do a sports marketing track before, you know, I became a teacher. I wanted to do sports marketing and everything. But then I became a teacher and that was a real calling, but whatever with that. But the fact of the matter is that rule number 1 in guest services on a team, your consumer is the king or the queen. Okay. Even if it's something small, obviously within reason, but game day experience is what drives people to the park. These minor league games with all these everything, with all these hoops and hops and everything, they are that way for a reason. The in-game experience, if the in-game experience is good, you're going to have a sellout every time. And that is that is a fact. In-game experience has to be key. And if that's being disrupted, friend, your business is not going to thrive.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Good point. Well, we got one more housekeeping issue. We're going to plug our other podcasts. Tomorrow you have the Audible with Randy Hammond and Matt Bushnell. Best football podcast out there. Don't at me. Then you have the best wrestling podcast out there, the Work Shoot Wrestling Podcast on Thursday, followed by the best basketball podcast you can find, the Step Back, Friday evening. And then if you want your fantasy advice, you want to know who to pick up, who to drop, who's hot and who's not, Total Basis Sunday morning with Sean and Felipe. Melvin, thank you for joining us,
brother.
Step
Back. NBA playoffs are right around the corner, right?
Right around the corner.
They're right there. So the Step Back is hitting it hard down.
Those dudes are money. I'm upset because I didn't get to watch last week's episode, so I gotta be able to tune it in when I'm at work coming up. But yeah, Melvin, thank you so much for joining us, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Vince is over here partying, somewhere on the beach. I think he said he was somewhere by Alabama. I don't know who goes over there for vacation, but
brother, man. Hey, I know who goes there for vacation. It's not the kind he likes. I'll tell you that.
But I appreciate you, brother. Everyone,
I appreciate the invite, guys. I know.
Till next Monday, this is Dong City. See you later.
Dong City. See y'all later, guys.